Hello. So this morning, Sunday, October 23rd, a little wet outside and looking forward to getting back into yoga. So when was it? Friday was my first class back in a very long time. Saturday, super great, that hour and a half class. Even did handstands. I think I told you guys that yesterday. And today, yoga with one of my favorite teachers. And after that, a kirtan and a pranayama meditation. So we also do a reading, usually by some guru. And yeah, last night as well, I had a sound healing, and at the sound healing, ran into a woman who I really appreciate, and it definitely seeing her reminded me that um, reminded me of the different vibrations there are that people have, and reminded me not to settle, and you know why go get some prostitutes or hookers or go to a bar? Jesus Christ, you know how many years I spent in a bar, just, drinking, trying to meet people, trying to meet women, um, and then without realizing, wait a second, not everybody drinks. you know, Not everybody's depressed. Not everybody needs that liquid courage to remove their anxiety. Or if they do, they still choose another route. I was thinking about Marcus Aurelius too, and something um, some dude said in a speech on YouTube when he was giving a presentation of him. It's like, here's a guy who could have been Caligula in the sense that, he's the emperor of Rome. He has all the money, all the power, all the wealth in the world, and yet he decides to use that for good in order to help people. So, what's the purpose of having money? What's the purpose of being on this planet if we're just going to, be selfish and try to live alone? And I guess growing up alone and having to be self-sufficient my entire life, I know growing up alone and having to be self-sufficient in a lot of ways, um, and then the patterns that my parents embedded in me from other people, I pushed other people away. So on one hand, charismatic, outgoing, want friends, um, lots of women, want, just the entire, all that goodness. And on the other hand, that side that is, you know, extremely introverted, maybe even a little bit petrified. So I have to get to yoga. The rain is letting up a little bit. After yoga, meditation, after meditation, back home, and maybe organize a little bit. Yeah. Also, I have an ice bath this afternoon. Ice bath and Wim Hof. Uh, Little get together with some friends. So, looking forward to that. A hero is one who heals their own wounds and then shows others how to do the same. I started speaking my truth when being free became more important than guarding the fear of my ego. Her rebirth was stunning. She lifted herself up from the depths of despair, grasped her dreams, embedded them in her heart, and walked forward into the future that only her will and vision could control. Revival. I closed my eyes to look inward and found a universe waiting to be explored. How many times are we too in our phones, too in the outside world, too busy looking at what other people think of us instead of just creating what we think of ourselves? Much of my confusion and sadness came from being disconnected from myself. The greatest journey I have taken so far is the one where I ended the alienation between me and all that I am, the one where I connected my light and my darkness, where I united what I know with what I did not want to face. Only through this union and truthfulness did I begin to feel home within my own being. That integration. Forcing ourselves to be happy is not genuine or useful. Being honest about what we feel while remaining calm and aware is the real work. Reminder: a sign of growth is being okay with not being okay, which historically was a challenge for me because I feel great 90% of the time, so that 95%, so that like little bit that I don't. There is an important difference between dwelling in misery and understanding that on the path of healing, things will come up that sometimes cause us to feel old emotions and patterns that we are working on letting go. There is great power in honoring the reality of our current emotions, not feeding them or making them worse, but simply recognizing that this is what has arisen in the present moment, and that this will also change. When we create this space within ourselves, a space of calmness that is undisturbed by the storm tends to pass more quickly. Practicing each profound honesty within ourselves helps in all facets of internal and external life. There is no real freedom without honesty, and without honesty, there can be no peace of mind. Healing ourselves isn't about constantly feeling bliss. Being attached to bliss is a bondage in its own. Trying to force ourselves to be happy is counterproductive because it suppresses the sometimes tough reality of the moment, pushing it back within the depths of our being instead of allowing it to arise and release. And two more. Healing ourselves is the personal movement we embark on to let go of all the conditioning that limits our freedom. In this journey, there will undoubtedly be moments of bliss and difficulty. Real happiness and wisdom grow from the reality of experience, not from the fleeting moments of bliss that we feel. It's the journey, and what Brendan Butcher said in his book as well, struggle is okay. I forget that when I was doing Ironman triathlons, when I was running marathons, like I started out as the fat kid who couldn't run, and then the fat kid who ran a 7:30 in elementary school in the 5th grade and puked his lunch everywhere, and then didn't break 10 minutes because he was lazy and just walked around and hung out with the lazy kids, the nerdy kids, because he didn't think he was cool, and because his parents wouldn't let him do sports and he didn't beg enough for and then it's like, oh well, why is it so hard to get out and run on my own? I eventually did. My first time I ran was in airwalks and and denim shorts, and slowly, through the IT band pains and new shoes and learning, it was a good 2 years before I ran my first marathon, maybe a year and a half. I still ran it in well under 4 hours, maybe like three and a half. I don't remember. And oh, to be young. I am eternally. You are too. And yeah, all the daily little practice. So everything that you put in makes a difference. The overnight change isn't going to happen. And you forget the struggle and all the hardship, because you have a larger goal. The more love in my body, the less harm my body can do. I'm going to close on that because that is exceptionally true. If we deny ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, if we suppress ourselves, then our bodies, they react, and they want to be heard. It needs attention, it needs love, it needs food, it needs nourishment, it needs sleep. And I need yoga, and you need yoga, and we all need yoga, and aloha. Best day ever.